Like I said, I'm Joel Miller, and it's a pleasure to be here. My dad was a Rotary in Goshen, so I'm somewhat familiar with how it goes. And my dad is Bob Miller, who started the Essen House, and I don't even know the order of my pictures here, but I believe, hey, look at that. So this is kind of our current team, and I was getting a little worried about the redefinition of pi there for a second there, but I'm glad you let me know what that was. Most of our pies actually are, a lot of them are my grandmother's recipes, so we're not going to be redefining that anytime soon, I hope. But this picture shows myself in the middle, if you can't tell, and my brother is on my right, and right there, Lance, he is a year older. Some of you might know Lance. He's a CPA and is our president. And then my brother-in-law, Randy, and of course my mom and dad, Bob and Sue. And I'll just do a quick rundown. For those that aren't familiar with the Essen House, we're located in Middlebury. Hopefully most of you are. If you don't know that, shame on you. But we appreciate it if you would come out and check us out. Bob and Sue started in Ohio, in Walnut Creek, Ohio. And there's a company called Dutchman Hospitality, and that's actually, it's kind of an interesting tidbit, and I'm going to try and fill you in and not confuse you. My mom and dad started in Walnut Creek with the first restaurant of Der Dutchman. And my dad was laying block at the time for construction and hired another manager to run it. And we went into business with my grandfather, Emmanuel Mullet, which was my mom's dad. And he said, I'd like a second one. We'd like to get another one. And my dad wanted to run that one. My grandpa, Emmanuel, was out in Middlebury buying old race horses. He would take back to Walnut Creek. If you've ever been to Holmes County, it's very hilly. So he would take the old race horses and sell them as buggy horses because they could get up the hills and down the hills. He used to stop at the Curve Inn restaurant, which was Everett's Curve Inn before my mom and dad bought it. And one day he said, hey, you want to sell this place? You ever thought about it? And Everett said no. But somehow he's pretty persuasive, my grandfather was. So we ended up with it. And that was in 1971. So my mom and dad moved out from Walnut Creek, Ohio, planned on staying in Indiana for 5 years, and we're still here. So we liked it here. And when I say I am not 50. Despite my look, I've been saying that all year as we celebrated the 50th anniversary last year of our company, and I have about 30 days where I can still say that. So we're celebrating our 50th anniversary last year, so it was January 4th. But as some of you might remember, in 1971, when we purchased it, it looked like that small little diner right there. And our first major addition was in 1976, and we added what we call the barn. And we could seat 600 people, which was huge, we thought. And then the next biggest addition was back actually in 94, 95. I was actually in college in Kansas somewhere. I don't even remember this, but they doubled the size. We actually seat 1,100 now. And then you can see in 2013, we added some doors and a canopy, and that's kind of the latest rendering of what the Essen House, the restaurant part of it, looks like. So if you remember, we talked about in Ohio, mom and dad started in Walnut Creek, Indiana. At the time, it was advantageous to have two corporations. So they had an Indiana Corp and an Ohio Corp, same exact ownership, just two different corporations. And for 50 years, we've kind of just kept going with two different corporations. In Ohio, we have, let's see, I don't want to go back. In Ohio, we have 6 operations and 1 in Sarasota, Florida. And that was in the Ohio Corporation, which, so we had a board, we have HR, we have accounting for both corporations, yet they're very similar, and we owned them both. So back in 2017, we, as a board, decided we're going to get a committee to look at this, see about merging finally. And we ended up pausing a few times, even in COVID, but we got it done actually this past November. So we're merged. We're actually one corporation now. Some of I hear once in a while they say, hey, we heard you sold. Well, to ourselves maybe, but we did not. We're merged. We still own, but we're all under the Dutchman Hospitality Corporation at this point. Our DOS Dutchman Essen House still stays the same, and we're trying to streamline a little bit, maybe not have double of everything, but eventually we'll work at that. But some of you also want to know, I have a twin brother, Jeff. Some of you know Jeff Miller, maybe. In 2015, he was working with us at the Essen House, moved down to Sarasota, Florida, to run our operation there, which is the Der Dutchman restaurant. And this was groundbreaking for the hotel they built. Some of you maybe have seen the hotel down there. Really a nice hotel. There's the rendering is behind him. There's Jeff. That's about as much work as he does right there. You know, we're twins, we're opposite. That means I do the rest of the work, but you know, I always give him a hard time about that. What are you shoveling there, buddy? So that's what it looks like now. Some of you maybe have been to Sarasota and seen the operation there. It's kind of interesting because when we're slow, they're just hopping, and they're busy as all get out right now. So we send our people down there, help them out, and he doesn't have enough to send us, but trying to send people around, especially in this day and age with employment, we're sending back and forth into Ohio. But he loves down there. He moved to Florida right after college, and he only moved up here to Middlebury to have his kids so he could be around grandparents. And he said, I'll wait till my kids are out of high school and then I'll move back. And he didn't even wait that long. He left and his kids were still in high school, but he loves Florida and he doesn't come back here very often. Although this is our 50th birthday. So he said, he's not very sentimental. He goes, we got to spend our 50th birthday together. And I refuse to go to Indiana. So guess I have to go down to Florida. Anyone know what this building is? Yeah? The pie guy? Dan Noodles, yeah. This is located right across from the restaurant. And some folks don't know about the noodle manufacturing that we do. And we bought noodles from a local guy for years, and then he was retiring, and we bought his equipment, and we made our own noodles, and we hung them over wooden racks and opened the windows and turned the fans on. And that's how we made our noodles. But since then, we've done a few modifications, and we've tried to make them a little better, faster, more often, and then make more of them. So we built this in 08, and it is right across from the restaurant on 20 there. And you might see our product, Essen House Noodles. We have a few brands that we private label as well. But that's kind of one of the latest. And you might see it in the Walmart or something like that. We might see it in a case aisle in the middle. Sam's Club and Costco, we're in a lot of different places. In 2003 is kind of when we landed Walmart, and that's when we got pretty large with manufacturing the noodles. And you can see a lot of the groceries that might carry our product. One of the things we talked about even in chatting about was just labor and where we're at as a company, as Essen House. And I love the chat, Dave, about conversations. And we're a hospitality company, and at heart, our family is hospitality. And conversations, where do they happen? Around the table. And so around good food. And we hope at the Essen House, we get to be a part of those conversations. But when we're making noodles and a quality product, we're a part of a lot more conversations that happen around those tables. And that's really what life's about, is relationships, building those relationships. And so we work hard at that. And to maintain that in an environment like we have today is difficult. We can't say that the labor shortage hasn't hurt us at the Essen House. We normally run with our noodles and everything, the whole complex with the inn and gift shops, we usually run about 500 employees. Last year, I think we maybe got to 385-ish part of the time, so over 100 short. And so that means some things have to change. We can't do what we've always done. In our scenario, just for you to know, like for a while we don't have catering hardly. Carry out was closed for a while. We tried to reopen it via digital. If you go online, you can order. There's some menu items that have changed. Obviously, our dining rooms still do not have all our tables and chairs in them. It may look like it. We're running about 65 to 70%. And we don't have enough wait staff or kitchen staff to be able to handle it. We do get long waits on Saturdays. The business is amazing. I mean, we're no shortage of business. We can't handle what comes through the door in the summer. Bakery is amazing. That's where wife works, Tracy. She's great. But We need more of her because the bakery, the increase is, I don't know if it's COVID or what, but we've seen probably a 25% increase in sales in bakery. People want those comfort foods and take them home. So all we can do to keep up, we used to do a wholesale route where we would take our donuts and sell them at other places, and we just had to close all that down. We couldn't even get enough for our retail. And even donuts, we'll do 130 to 140 trays of donuts, which is a couple dozen on each tray every Saturdays. And they're big. If you haven't seen our donuts, just think of the size of your face. But yeah, so that's been a real challenge. We've tried to do as a company a number of things to keep. The new title for myself is campus manager, because I oversee the whole campus. And a couple of them have made a joke about it. Since COVID, they've called me the campus pastor, because I just talk people off the ledge, because it's an overload. As many of you know, in your own work environments, the stress that comes with the differences and lack of people can be overwhelming at times, and you feel like maybe there's something else to do. So we try and keep everyone there, and I tend to try and get around and make sure everyone's doing okay. It's been real interesting with our family. I mean, my wife has another job, but she's also in the kitchen. Lance's wife, Jill, and as many family members that don't normally work there are coming in and making food, whatever we can do. It doesn't surprise me when I hear restaurants or other businesses that are closing. Many of you might know, next door here kind of announced that the 5th will be their last day, and I'm just heartbreaking. It's a great place if you haven't eaten here. We got 41 degrees north in Middlebury, wrapped up, and I get it. It's tough. It's tough without help, and you only want to do dishes so often, and you don't want to go home and do dishes either. I can tell you that. But no, but we're excited about what's going on. We've been able to, I think, keep the staff at a level where they have a quality of life, and that's what's really key. When they have time to be at home yet, we're not, we'll just shut things down, and if that's the case, take a little less profit. We know the sales are there, but if they can be with their family, that's a choice we've decided to make as a family, that we're going to do our best commitment to allowing them time to be at home and work with that. So it's been a real challenge, but we're rolling along and we're not going anywhere. And so I put this next picture in just to let you know, that's supposed to be full. That's our factory, our noodle factory. We can make a semi a day of noodles. We work 5 days a week. We make 5 semis a week. And we've just been depleted. We have nothing. We don't have people to make a second shift. We often do that. And so we now just divvy out who gets what, depending on, like Walmart, of course, is going to get 4 or 5 semis out of 2 weeks. And then we just start giving out to who the others are, what we can do. We short everyone. We've never shorted anyone before. We're in the midst of, we're looking at a building project and a lot of things, but that's just been a real killer. And, in a restaurant, if anyone's at all ran or been on operations restaurant, you've got, some big pieces. Labor is a big piece of what your costs are. 33 to 38% is labor. Food is going to be about the same. Then you've got your overhead, your utilities, and everything else. And you end up with national average is about 5 to 8 pennies on the dollar left. Well, you start paying some of the wages we got to pay now, and the food costs are outrageous. They continue to go up. So that margin gets pretty tight. We've been fortunate with noodles, our margin is a lot larger. And so when the restaurant doesn't do as well, groceries do better. And so we're in both. And we've got that diversity. If we have product to sell, that's the problem. We're at a point now where we just, if you go to Walmart, we're going to have an empty shelf. A lot of the time, you'll maybe see a bag or 2 of Essenhouse noodles. And so that's been a real challenge to figure out what we're going to do there. And Durham flour is what we use for our, it's one of, the largest percentage what goes into a noodle is flour. And that went up 75%. Small side note, I have a son, my oldest son, Bryce, who actually is out farming. in Montana, and he works for a farmer who actually grows durum, which I didn't know when he first went out there. So he always tells me what's going on, and then I call our buyer and I'm like, hey, we got to lock in now. He said, how do you always know what's going to happen to the market before I do? Because he's supposed to be the knowing. And I'm like, well, might have a kid working in it. But, so it's something, it's a real challenge. And like any other business, you know, acquiring your commodities and getting them at a reasonable price is difficult. So we work at it, and have worked really hard at that to get it to our best so that we don't have to increase prices much. But of course, like everyone else, we're having to increase prices and so forth. So some of the quick things, I mentioned a few that we're not doing now, like we're not open Mondays yet. And the thing that we bring stuff back in the winter when we're slower, we feel like we can do stuff. But whatever we decide to do, we always think back, okay, if we get no more employees, can we do this in the summer? Because we don't want to keep pulling things on and off, on and off. That's a real challenge for guests to figure out what's going on. So we're probably, right now we could put Mondays back, but the way the labor market looks, like in the summer, we're not going to be able to have them. So probably not going to put Mondays back, not at this point. We've added family style back, which we didn't have for a little while, on Saturday nights only. I think we can pull that off all summer long too. So it's just one of those things, even what we're adding now, we have to decide, will we have enough labor to pull that off when it gets really busy? If Jeff down in Florida could maybe have some more labor for him, you know, but he doesn't send too many. You saw his shovel, he doesn't work very hard. But, you know, when we first got back, they had us doing cafeteria style buffet. Buffet's kind of a big thing for us. And of course, all the pundits said, buffets are dead, they'll never come back. And I was like, whatever. I don't think that's the truth, but they don't always know what they're talking about. Now, I mean, we just have them coming in the doors. Like I said, we can't really handle all the people we get at times just because of the labor. But we are at least at a normal buffet situation. We're not serving it. That was a nightmare, cafeteria style. We don't want to do that again. It's been interesting with Mondays closed and all the things that we've cut down, like I said, catering, or wholesale routes, all that stuff. We compare to 2019, we kind of ignore 20 when it comes to financials. Week in and week out, in 21, we had almost the same or above sales as 2019 without a Monday and without staff. It's absurd, and we feel it. We do, and we're grateful. We're so grateful because it could be in a different situation. And it could be more. Obviously, your mind as a business person, you go, look at all I've missed. We could have been open these extra days. I could be doing these extra things. But you gotta protect your people. They have to have a life, and you got to live to see another day, and keep your people. That's really key. If they can't have your conversations at all, they're going to be done. And so, you know, that's really what we work hard at, is keeping our relationships with our staff. We work side by side, and we don't ask them to do things we're not willing to do. It's a fun environment. Hospitality is in our blood. We love hosting people at the Essen House, just like they're coming to our house. We want them to have a great time and a great food. Don't change the pie, for sure. One of the things you guys also might know about the Essen House, I'll wrap up here and ask for some questions. Sorry, I can talk forever. Cruise-ins. Anyone been to one of their cruise-ins? Hopefully, yeah. We started in 2006, so this is 17 years, I believe, of Essen House cruise-ins. We said, hey, Tuesday, Wednesday, we got a flea market. Friday, Saturday, we're busy on the weekends. And we have this Thursday day, we need something. And I was talking, never underestimate your conversations. I was in a break room eating with one of the van drivers, older guy, and I just said, hey, what'd you do this weekend? He goes, I went to a cruise-in. I was like, what is a cruise-in? He said, well, we went to some restaurant and we all parked and hung out. And I'm like, huh. I said, you know, we were trying to get Thursdays, but you think people would want to come here? Oh, yeah, it'll be easy as all get out. I guarantee is what he said. I've always told him that. You always guarantee. He said, print a flyer and I'll hand it out. I said, oh, I can do that. So we printed out, and I think the first day in 2006, we had 23 cars, and I was like, whoa, this is really going to work. So we've been doing it since then, and now we have lots of cars. I don't know if you can see that picture or not, but it was just a photo back in maybe 2008 or 9, one of the last ones. And I did have a video on here that you might get sent to you. It's a 2015, it's kind of drone footage of our last cruising. And during the summer, we'll have on a sunny day, it's usually 400 to 500 cars, something like that, 300 to 500 on an average day. But the last one, I don't even know why this is. Like I said, I'm not from the world. I am now, I guess. But the last one of the year, they always come out in droves. If you've ever been to that one, I think last year was almost 2,000 cars. They just every year, we have them stay at the hotel. They're parked all over the place. It's really kind of a nightmare. I don't even suggest coming, but it's pretty cool to see all those cars. I love it. And we have a great time with them. And it's fun. Steve Payne's the guy's name. Unfortunately, he just about a month and a half ago, he passed away. Older gentleman, but great. We have a great relationship and with his kids, and have missed him. This will be the first year without him with cruisins, but we do have fun. We've made it a little more of a community event. In these last couple of years, we've got Dips on the Vine, which is an ice cream place downtown Middlebury, comes out every week. And then the last one, we've been doing the local food trucks come in. Even though we have a restaurant, we can't handle all those people at one time. And it's kind of a taste of Middlebury, taste of the community. And we have invite some of the community businesses to come be a part of it. And it just made it, we have a big, it's kind of like a park out there anyhow, we might as well enjoy it together. And so that's been fun, and I host those. My brothers refused to do it, and now after all those years, I think I'm stuck, but I enjoy it anyhow. So if you go out there, you'll probably see me, and then I usually bring jokes, that's the big deal. They're not funny, but they're clean, so that there's kind of our SNL's Cruising t-shirts, you might recognize some of those. We did that on the 10th anniversary. So that was that's kind of the Essen House in a nutshell where we're at with our changes with merging companies. It's kind of the latest and greatest, and trying to make noodles. If anyone wants to bag noodles, see me afterwards. It is very mundane, but there's more automation. We're trying to work with that, and then of course, if you want to wait tables or anything like that. Do you have any questions about our family? I hate to answer. I can't answer all of them. It looks like
doing good on time. One quick one online first. Randy Foster asked, "Why did you eliminate family style meals?" And if you could repeat that.
Yes, sure. The question was why we eliminated family style meals while we still had buffet and menu. Family style, amazingly, has the largest amount of waste. You wouldn't think it, but it is enormous.
Wow.
And when you have a large amount of waste, that means you've got to make all that food. And it was pans and pans a day that we would not have to make if we could serve the same number of people through the buffet. Literally, lots of food we didn't have to make, which we could hardly make enough for what, we already took catering out. We can't cook for catering. So by eliminating family style, we were able to still serve the number of people, but we couldn't serve if we did family style. And we put it back on Saturdays. It is also a lot harder for the wait staff, and it is harder for us because we have to set up a separate, in the kitchen, we have to set up family style steam table. Whereas if we're just doing buffet, we totally eliminate that. We don't have the employees to set that up or the employees to man that. So it was a way to kind of pluck things off the way we wanted to be able to try and do the best we could with what we had and get customers through. Like I said, we've recently just added Saturdays because we have banquets and we do family style anyhow, it's already set up. We can try and do it that way. We would love to have it during the week. That's what we're known for. That was probably one of the hardest things for us to pull off because we were built through family style dining. And I remember our HR director almost in tears, just like walking out like, you can't do that. I'm like, well, we got to stay open, So that's a really good question.
So, by the way, I have a bag of your noodles in my pantry at home. So your costs are up 75%. You're down more than 20% in staff. How have you been on prices?
Yeah, well, we're looking for a price increase. It's just going in right now into effect for the noodles. We've continued to do it for the restaurant. We haven't for the noodles. But there is, we've negotiated out, we buy it sometimes almost a year at a time, and we've done pretty good with the flour. and locking in when it's not at the highest levels. But flour is a high percentage. It's eggs and water and so forth, so it's not all of it. But sometimes you're right. It's a tough one. Is it enough? We don't know on our current price increase, which is rolling out right now. Yeah.
Just for relativism, can you give me a sense of how many people, say 2019, you were able to serve on a Saturday night, and how many staff that took relative to now on a Saturday night? How many staff it take?
Good question.
That happened, and then a second one I'm curious about is, since we were talking pies, what are your top sellers?
Sure. We'll start with the pies. Red raspberry cream is the #1 seller. Very interesting. If we had strawberry, peach, or blueberry year round, obviously those would be the top ones. The fresh blueberry, fresh strawberry, fresh peach, those would take over, but we only have them when they're in season. But red raspberry cream and then peanut butter, I believe. Dutch apple's up there too. But yeah, those are part of the pies. On a Saturday night, if we're busy, we can serve 5,000, 5,500. It can be more than that sometimes, but on average, number of guests.
That's now.
That was before COVID in 2019. It would probably take, I don't even know on the number of people during the day. Probably 150 throughout the whole day with all the shifts at the restaurant alone. And then now we're not seeing, we have price increases that also bring sales up, but we're probably seeing 4,500 on a Saturday. And if we're pushing 100, that'd be great.
You should restate when you do the numbers for the people online. Understood the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. The question was how many people that we serve on a Saturday before COVID in 2019, and then how many people we had to serve those at the restaurant, employees wise, and then now how many guests we serve and how many employees we have to serve those guests post-COVID. The kitchen, I'm just amazed when I go through the kitchen how few people we have at times. I'm just like, how are we even putting this out? A lot of different systems have been put into place, obviously like any other company, to make us more efficient. Just doing things we hadn't thought of before, only out of need and necessity. Do you figure those things out?
Have there been some of those things, to just add on to that, have there been some of those things that you said, we're going to keep this around? We didn't think of it, out of need, necessity, we did it. Now it's going to work. That's probably going to stick with us. Have you had any of those moments? Yeah, good question. Is there any changes that we've made because of COVID that we've said, oh yeah, we'll keep that? There's no reason to go back. Yeah, there's been a number of those. I should have probably all wrote them down. One, just simple one is, we used to switch on Saturdays every day. Our breakfast buffet ran smack right into our lunch buffet. And we ran around like chickens with our heads cut off to pull the breakfast out, put the lunch in, and have no gap. Well, we were like, we're killing ourselves. We got at least, so we put in a half-hour gap to give ourselves a break. Well, we'll never go back. Ever. It's like, oh, this is just glorious. We've changed at the end of the night, when the buffets close, how long you have to eat to get stuff once you get seated, or if we seat you earlier and how we seat there, so that we can break down, because we can't stay there all night. And we used to have enough people where we could just send manpower at it. Now we have to decide differently. Again, that's something that won't go back. Even in the back kitchen, how we cook stuff, when we do, at the size of, we do, we've made some changes. We're like, wow, yeah, we would never want to, why didn't we do this before? So there's a lot of those aha moments, like any other company and business that you've run into that you do, and you go, yeah, well, this is a keeper. And then there's some you want to go back. Yeah, sorry.
I spend a lot of my time weekly involved with the economics of what's going on in Elkhart County. And I did something a couple of years ago that I found very challenging at the Essen House. I just wondered who buys all the stuff out of the gift shops. So I spent 2 hours one afternoon watching what people purchased and the things that they were carrying, if you will, after they paid for it, out of the restaurant.
Hope so.
I was amazed at the amount of stuff that people buy. I mean, it was absolutely incredible. And so your gift shops have to be a very good profit center for you.
Yeah. Yeah, asking who buys all the gifts at our gift shops at the Essen House. And yeah, it is, it's a large deal. We have a big team that, does the purchasing. We have one main purchaser that, like any other company, you can repurchase stuff that's going to sell fast. And then you got to have somebody who's got their eyes out on the horizon, what's coming, what's going to be hot, what's going to be next. And so we certainly have individuals that are keeping in touch with that as well. And we have 3 gift shops, and then actually the biggest gift shop is the restaurant, because we have stuff in the hallways there and near the bakery. And so that actually sells the most out of there. And yeah, when I go places, that's not something I purchase. So I'm like you, like, wow, who in the world's going to purchase all this? But people, they buy this stuff. And I'm just like, and we go to Atlanta every year to the gift show, which is large. And then that's where we, hit the companies and get what's coming. And I look at the stuff that I'm buying for the shops. And I'm like, I would never buy this. But here we go. It's not about me. That's one thing I've learned. It's not about me.
Joel, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I imagine you'll stay around a little
Sure.
bit. A lot of folks, I'm guessing, are like me. You mentioned that everyone in here, they know business to some degree, or they're intelligent people anyway. Well, we all go to restaurants. Most people that are in here, are probably ones that are willing to go out. I always wonder that, and it's something for me. And even at Wellfield, I tend to try to think of that triple bottom line sort of thing, where you're taking care of people, you're trying to make your money work, and also, and I heard it from you, you're just trying to cut down on waste. Yeah. I mean, that was, it's an interesting thought that I appreciate, the fact that folks were buying it, but it was going to waste. You've made a change there. I don't know. I'm guessing a lot of you try to analyze when you go to restaurants and see, and if you're like me, there's a lot of things that you see where it's like, oh, I get that. I understand that. And then there's things where, oh, that just doesn't make any sense. But I will say there's got to be also another factor in that, is what people are willing to, how understanding they are. And that's been very interesting. I've had a pretty, I think, good amount of empathy for people struggling during this. I don't know about you. I don't mind waiting as long. I just expect it. And that's a tricky balance too, because I know darn good and well there's some places that are banking on that too. And so there's that give and take. But yeah, I don't mind waiting. I don't mind paying more. It's more expensive. We all get that. And if we can still make the bottom line work, it just means we're maybe serving less people, but we're still able to make a profit and keep care of our folks. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. I could talk about that for hours, and not from a practical standpoint for me, but I just love trying to balance how everybody thinks. So thank you very much, Joel, for being here today. Joel will be around a couple more minutes if anybody's got any questions. Joel, the Wellfield was founded by the Elkhart Rotary Club in 2005. We like to give out some passes, so I've got some of those for you. We're open year round, and we're open on weekends right now, but come April 1st, we're open 7 days a week. How about that for a way of sliding that in? So some passes for you. Thanks for being here. Thanks, everybody. I love seeing the attendance is creeping up there a little bit. Look for an email from me this week. I've got some information and a question for you about our food and a buffet option here. So look for that. Everybody, have a great rest of your week. March 1st tomorrow. Have a great month where spring is coming to us. Enjoy the sunshine. Rotary's adjourned. Thanks, everybody online.
All right, thanks, Eddie.
Andy, thank you very much.
All
Take
right.
care. Talk to you soon.
All right, bye.